website. You aren't going to see some of the upgrades we're doing, but we're going to be launching some big new upgrades, and it's basically preparing for people for what's called the event. So I'm going to give you guys a little background to my relationship with Cobra, the gentleman and emissary of light. I kind of am a multitasker. I can easily talk about spiritual subjects, extraterrestrials. I see myself as an ambassador for interplanetary cultural exchange. I've had physical contact with different extraterrestrials. I've been very blessed in my life with many wonderful teachers and many unique experiences. And I kind of was in the closet with them. I told my friends about them, but I kind of came out of the closet about almost a year, well, not quite a year ago. I was on Coast to Coast 3 times in 45 days. It kind of launched me into a little bit of notoriety, and my information seemed to strike a chord and resonate with a lot of people. I got a lot of good feedback, and inspired me to create my website, thepromiserevealed.com, and I decided to take a radio show here. And I may be adding another day or two later, but I think that right now this is enough. I've got some great guests coming up today and in the future. To let you know, I'm going to be talking to Paul Nugent next week, and he is one of the leaders of the Aetherius Society, which was started by George King, a yogi who became the voice of interplanetary parliament, and works on you can go to aetheriussociety.org. You can check that out. This group has been doing portal activations and utilizing radionic prayer energies and releasing it into the Earth's natural vortex sites for over 50 years. They've been climbing up on mountains and acting as the anchor for the light to help stabilize this planet to bring in prayerful energy. So there's lots of good things coming up. I'm going to be interviewing American Kabuki, Dr. Len Horowitz, Cobra, and those are just a few. J.J. Hurtak of the Keys of Enoch, who I met in Bosnia, as I mentioned before. I absolutely adore him. And so I have a big host. I'm working on Pat Flanagan, because I love pyramids, and I've known Pat since I was 16 years old as well. Hopefully he'll join us on the show. We don't have a confirmation with him yet, and I'm going to be interviewing the people from Ekankar. So we're going to be studying lots of different spiritual disciplines. We'll be uncovering aspects of the Cabal, and as well as the victory of the light. So I want to tell you a little bit about Cobra for those of you who don't know. Cobra has a blog called portal2012.blogspot, and I recommend you guys sign up for that. And if you're not familiar with it, to go back into the history of that. But I was living in England last year, and he started the blog on my birthday. And it was, I think I discovered it like a day later. I don't know how it happened, but it was very interesting, and I started posting on that site. And I started talking about Fred Bell and Semyasi. And it seems that Cobra himself had read a book that was written by Brad Steiger about Dr. Fred Bell and myself. And it was a big part of his life. And we ended up talking. He liked my post. He told me I was the first person that he had reached out to on the internet. And we started talking. He told me that he had met Semyasi, as I had also, and had many experiences with her ships, with Dr. Bell and by myself in the past when I was very young, mostly. And I asked him some questions, and I started to vet him through metaphysical questions and understanding, because for me, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to extraterrestrials and spaceships, I'm not interested in the astral psychic phenomenon of a bigger car that goes really fast and can turn on a dime. And one of the things I'd like to do on this show also is give little UFO spiritual factoids. And just so you know, a UFO can go like thousands of miles an hour and make a right turn. And they do that because they create their own gravitational field. So there's a little UFO factoid for you. It's like the Earth is spinning right now at 15,000 miles an hour. So you wouldn't notice it. But that's a little UFO factoid. But Cobra and I started chatting, and he talked about something called the Galactic Codex. And I was very passionate about what's going on this planet. I've known that the Galactic Federation, Interdimensional Federation of Free Worlds, has tremendous power and abilities of a spiritual nature, and they could impose them upon this planet. But there is a certain level of free will that is required, but there's another aspect that precludes that, and that's the Galactic Codex. When someone is violating the Galactic Codex and interfering with another's free will, or the planet has become a danger, not only the people, generally the humans on the planet, become a danger to themselves, and the life streams on the planet can affect beings in other dimensions on the planet, as well as on other planets, their life in the solar system, and even the galaxy itself. And there's a very long, convoluted history. We would know about it as the fall or the invasion or the destruction of Atlantis. It's a very long, complicated subject. But if you go to prepareforchange.net, we've got some of the answers there. Anyway, Cobra talked about the Galactic Codex, and basically for genetically altering the species, genocide, and other various crimes like fluoridation of water, chemtrails, nuclear radiation, irradiating of foods. We have vaccinations, HARP, extremely low frequency carried on your thing. I mean, we all know the drill. There are so many negative technologies designed to jam the human auric frequency field. It's not just ignorant humans. There's actually a plot. And it's, we can call it conspiracy. I just call it some bad people doing bad things. And it doesn't matter whether they're from this planet or another planet, although some of them are from another world. They have entrenched themselves in our societal political infrastructure, and they've been reincarnating into the same families for thousands of years. This is kind of advanced stuff we're talking about here, but you better get used to it on this show, The Victory of the Light, because we're going to be covering it all. So I hope you're going to be ready for some new revelations. I'm going to be sharing lots of stories of my interactions with physical contactees, fellow physical contactees, many of them way higher than myself in status with ongoing face-to-face contacts. And I'll be sharing with you lots of inside information that's been taking place and how things are moving. So I'm going to finish up with a Cobra explanation, but so we can get to the Prepare for Change, but I need to lay a little groundwork for you here. So basically, we're in trouble. We have some criminals on the planet, and they need to be removed. And he talked about the Galactic Codex, and some people were posting, well, I don't think we're going to arrest them, and what's going to happen? And hello, there's criminals doing things every day. No one complains when a SWAT team surrounds a crazy person who's, got a gun or holding a knife to his wife's throat or something. People need to be stopped from what they're doing. And I'm going to tell you right now, there's a lot of criminals in our country and around the world, the highest levels of government in the corridors of power, and behind the scenes, unseen, money men, the bankers control the world, and it's a plot and it's a plan, and unfortunately it's very negative, and it has to end. And I knew that the Galactic Federation could do this, but I always wondered, why aren't they just doing it? And I have to bow to their wisdom. I know that there's a reason that we're waiting, that it has to take place at the right time, because they cannot violate the laws. They can't come down and be violent, because they follow the laws of the intergalactic Christ, the Krishna, or the Buddha consciousness, whatever you want to call it. But they are committed to nonviolence. So it's important that we take a step back and listen and learn from the Galactic Federation. And it's very difficult because very few people have physical contact. Many people are channeling. And channeling is an energetic type of informational exchange that takes place that's different from telepathic contact. I have had telepathic contact in the past myself, and I have I get a feeling on my forehead, and information comes to me very directly, and I can ask questions. But I would never claim that the information that I gather from there is channeling or comes from someone else. I always present it as my own knowledge and information because I need to take complete responsibility for anything I say. And I don't think it means anything more if it comes from an extraterrestrial source than myself. So that's the way I present my information. Some people channel, and that can be susceptible to errors, as can my information. So we all have to be individuals and grown up and try and test the information that we get. And for me, after testing Cobra's information, it really resonated because he started talking about how the transition would take place. On my website, I have an explanation of the Portal 2012. And I knew that it wasn't going to be an ascension as everyone was thinking. I mean, it was ridiculous. The planet just doesn't shift like that, and all of a sudden you're on a fluffy cloud playing golden harps with everyone. That's not what ascension is. We have to address the situation on our planet. And I want to again thank Nighthawk and Freedom Slips and Revolution Radio here for the opportunity to not be censored, to speak the truth. And I'm going to be laying some bombshells out here in the next series of shows that I have going on. I'm going to be releasing again the Veil of Invisibility. Shows pictures of the Bushes and proves to them that George Bush Sr. is one of the youngest Nazi spies, and the entire Bush family actually came from Germany, and we have a kind of a takeover of our government that's been taking place, and we need to take it back and reestablish the Constitution. But how that's going to take place with a bunch of humans who can't get their family together for dinner at the same time, how can you coordinate arrest of these huge international bankers? They own all the police forces. They own all the military. They own the secret space program. They control the educational institutions. So understanding how this was to take place, I was very attracted to Cobra, and I'm not going to go into every detail here, but I'm going to recommend you go to his website to learn what he's saying. But basically, I've talked to Cobra. He spent time with me. He came to visit me in Thailand for a month with a member of the Dragon Society and the White Dragon Society from Asia. And I got a lot of good information, and I can tell you that there is a plan to liberate the planet. It makes a lot of sense to me. So I'm going to share a little bit with you, and then I'm going to share about the website, and then I'm going to encourage you to join the website. We're going to talk with some of the people who helped create the website today. So let's go into real quickly what the plan of liberation for the planet is. We have the situation going on, and behind the scenes, these fallen extraterrestrials at the highest levels are very advanced technologically, and some of them actually don't even exist on the physical plane. They live in the lower astral plane, and some of them can hide even up into the higher mental plane. It's like a graduate student in psychology manipulating a 5-year-old. Or if you can imagine a giant football linebacker keeping a baby who can barely crawl. The baby's trying to crawl out of the bedroom. And imagine, what's that guy's name? Troy Polamalu, that guy with the big hair, the linebacker for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Imagine him corralling a baby. It's pretty hard to do. So humanity has been kind of kept in a position of disempowerment. Not that we aren't divine sons and daughters of the Most High Living God, not that we aren't completely accessible to our own divine self, and we are completely responsible for our own actions. But there is a type of technology that utilizes implants from vaccinations and invisible implants at time of birth. And all this sounds very out there for some of you, and I'm sure some of you this is making sense. I'm not here to try and prove myself or convince you, but it's a very difficult situation to overcome. So there's been a plan, and the plan, it was hatched through members of the let's call them the Earth's White Hat Military Secret Service Resistance Group. These are individuals who have been involved in MI6, whatever you call it, the Russian counterpart, and we have the CIA, the NSA, in all different parts of the world. These secret police forces have been doing the bidding of these international bankers and these control groups, and they've been creating wars and hiding technology. Now, some of these individuals involved in these programs who retrieve saucers or work in these black projects or have actually seen and understood for many years what's going on behind the scenes didn't like what they were being forced to do by their superiors. And there became a sort of resistance within them. And there's one particular guy who goes by the code name of Michael, and he was running away from let's call them the very dark force, men in black type, heavy-duty government agents that wanted to kill him because he had information and evidence. And they ended up in an underground tunnel beneath New York City, where they stumbled upon, or were divinely guided, is more like it, into a joint Pleiadian and Syrian base beneath New York City. They were invited to stay, and there they have remained, and they have organized under the wing and protection of the Galactic Federation and the Agarthan Network. And I'll go into the Agarthan Network in another show, but those are people who live inside the crust of the Earth after the fall of Atlantis and the destruction of the civilization on the surface. These individuals went underground, and there's a huge network of tunnels, and they've had nothing to do with us on the surface for fear of contamination, and basically we're very hostile. So that time is changing now, and this group is working with the Galactic Federation to remove these hostile forces from the surface of the planet. And Cobra has a description of the event, and that's on the prepareforchange.net website. If you want to go there, you can click on the mission statement and the event and the Galactic Codex and Cobra's site there. And there's a plan that has been released to Cobra. Let me explain a little about Cobra. Cobra told me that when he was a young boy, he was taken out of his body in a spaceship, and he went into an underground tunnel of the Agarthan Network when he was quite young, and he was taken to New York City, and he met Michael and Semyasi. And they basically talked about him to him, and later on, he had like me, his memory was completely blocked, and at a certain point in his life, he remembered everything. All at once, it came to him. And at that point in time, he was contacted by members of what we call the Resistance, and those are people from the Agarthan Network. And if I couldn't get even more complicated, people from another planet in our solar system called Planet X. Planet X is not Nibiru, and it never comes within our solar system. It always remains outside on a very long elliptical orbit. It circles the planet approximately every 850 years. These people were taken over like we were, implanted, controlled, microchipped, dumbed down, and manipulated into a false financial system. And they liberated themselves in 1997, I believe it was. And they decided to come here en masse to help liberate the planet. And they beamed into the underground networks and began to forcibly remove some of these fallen extraterrestrials who had taken up bases and who were surreptitiously controlling the surface population through a very advanced technology. This sounds very out there, but that's the truth as far as I know it. I met a resistance movement member when I was 20 years old, and I'll go into that in another show. But this my meeting with a military guy who was similar to Michael when I was 20 years old, about the same time period actually as Cobra. We did our notes, and the time period was very close to the time that he met his resistance member, Michael. I met my resistance member teacher named Jim. And I was taught a lot of things, and I'm going to be sharing them with you over the next few months here on the radio show. So I'll be sharing some of that information, which gives me the confidence and the ability to interface what Cobra is telling people. And I hope that some of you, that this will resonate with you, but the plan is this. The Galactic Federation and the Agarthan Network groups, at a certain point in time, determined by the creative mind of the universe and creation itself, will send a divine flash, and that flash will signify to the Interdimensional Galactic Federation of Free Worlds, which includes the Agarthan Network, to move into positions which they have had plans for many, many years, to help the Earth remove the hostile force. They're not here to make our life better by snapping their fingers. We have to come to the realization ourselves. But basically, they're going to remove the 800-pound gorilla from the room, and we are going to be free to move forward into a new society that we can choose of our own free will in a true, open, transparent, democratic process based on spiritual principles which will be taught to us once the quarantine is lifted and these forces are removed. This is also spoken of in the ancient scriptures. It's known that this is going to take place. The Bible has different terms for this. I'm not a religious person, but I'm spiritual, and I can interpret certain aspects of various religions and bring them together for you. I hope to do that also in the future. So the plan is that these forces are going to, with their superior technology, they already are following thousands of beings on the planet, the bad guys, in every thought, word, deed, and action. Unbeknownst to these forces, everything they do is cataloged and recorded. They follow every nuclear weapon, every dirty bomb, every anthrax spore, every chemtrail spray is monitored, and I believe to a certain extent some of these have been neutralized by the Galactic Federation. Behind the scenes, we owe a great debt to these people, and there's going to be great changes taking place. So I wanted to let you know that that's going to take place at some point. We don't know when, but when that divine flash takes place, they will move into the astral regions of the planet and observe and guide the Earth's military forces who are in liaison with the resistance movement of Earth-based military Secret Service police forces who have amassed evidence against these criminals. They will be removing Cheney, Rumsfeld, the Bushes, the Nazi Bushes, the Clintons, certain members of royal families, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the moneyed elites of the planet. These are just a few of the names that you might know here in the West. I'm sure there's many, many counterparts throughout the world. They will be removed in a 72-hour sweep. This is the plan, is to remove them in a 72-hour sweep. And one of the things that you will know the event is taking place is they're going to shut down the banks. So when these banks shut down, no one will be able to get any money. This will stop the cabal, and it'll freak people out for a little bit, but you can rest assured that they're going to take over all the satellites and all the communication stations. All cabal-based television programming will cease. All the stock markets will close. Many, many changes will take place, and that's what this website, Prepare for Change, is about, is to prepare people for this event. This is not a alien invasion takeover. We've already been invaded and taken over secretly. This is a liberation by friendly, benevolent forces to allow us to develop our consciousness and to understand the true spiritual principles of the universe. These will be taught to us in the future. There's no timetable for this, so don't ask us when it's going to happen. So there's people in the chat room, if you have questions on this information that I'm talking about. So you can ask, and we have people in our chat room are going to be here every week, and it's going to be within the first 30 minutes between 3 and 3:30 Western Time, and between 6 and 6:30 at some point. I'm going to say it's prepareforchange.net time, and we're going to have Cobra on here to explain it. But right now I'd like to bring in Okalani, who's the head of the event support group team and the kind of heading up the website that's going through some big changes here. And I'd like to bring in Ada from the media group to talk about what they see for this website and how it's going to integrate. Okalani, would you like to start off? Hello, Okalani, are you there?
Hi, Rob, sorry.
Okay. Welcome to the Victory of Light, the first show, and I'm very honored to hear. I understand you're a little under the weather. I've been yakking and...
You're doing a great job, actually.
Yeah, I got to get more focused. Sam was so long there. I'm going to let you talk and tell us about Prepare for Change and the interfacing and the networking. And what are you all doing there? And how is this going to help us understand what's taking place?
Well, the Prepare for Change group is basically consists of event support groups, which is a global network of participants who will absorb the shock of what's about to happen when the event comes. So in preparation for the event, when the event happens, the transition, and post-event. And then there are also other groups here that are new society groups that will be forming in which people can participate in as well.
So anybody can join these groups, right?
Anybody can join. You're more than welcome to contribute, post articles, send videos, record audio files, and submit them to our group leaders. Okay,
and what is the purpose of the event support groups, and what are these people doing? I guess a lot of people have to have a lot of faith that this is going to take place, and they're preparing for when the event takes place, right?
Correct. There is a lot of faith, but the thing is, many light workers have known that this was coming, and one of the many frequently asked questions that we will be addressing on the website is, how do we know for sure that it's coming? And I think you've addressed that issue very well. We don't know it's coming. We just feel and know that it is. We don't know the exact time, because it's not based on, it's based on divine time because it's outside of time. That's weird.
Yeah, we had a question. Someone said, who will arrest these guys? Everyone knows Bush is... they were actually the Prescotts from Nazi Germany. They will be arrested. I know the answer to that one, so I know that they'll be arrested by the Earth-based military forces. And most people won't even know this is going on. The arrests are planned to take place behind the scenes. The only indication that we'll have is that the banks will close and no one will be able to use their credit cards or get any money. So that's going to be a sign that operations in play.
Right. So the question is, because you're very versed on this part, there are people out there who have fear in asking, how do we know which is good military and which is bad?
Right. Well, I would say, most of the military are innocent. They're very patriotic young men who want to serve their country and willing to put their lives on the line. And unfortunately, they've been used and abused. They're young. They get in there and they realize that they are actually the terrorists when they're going to other countries. One guy told me he was going to rooms and people were shouting him, "You're worse than Saddam." You know, the way that coming into the houses and violating their rights. And it's, you know, war itself is terror. And there's lots of lies going on. You know, Coke was right. This attempt in Syria, everyone thought we're going to war, it sure looked like it by the way they're talking and on their radio shows and television shows. Every other word is chemicals, war, children deaths. It's not working. They're not going to get the war they want in Syria. And so it's a good thing what's taking place. Let's, Ada, do you have anything you'd like to say about the
event? We're about the event. We are encouraging all graphic artists, musicians, photographers, filmmakers to contact us, because at the time of the event, we want to have news all over the world about what's going on in your community, so that people can see it's okay, things are still working out fine, and that we can communicate back and forth that way. So we encourage everybody who's related to the media to get in touch with us soon.
Okay, so everyone can get in touch. I think people can sign up. There's going to be they're encouraged to create support groups in their area. We're asking people to gather on Sundays, kind of like a little tea party, or kind of like your own mini church where you have meditation. We have a group meditation clock, and we're asking people to pray for world peace. There's some specific meditations, and we send our focused healing energy. So we ask people to join physically and to discuss and to prepare for the event and do meditation and to actually join one of different groups, right?
Yes.
What else do you think is important that people know about the site, Ada?
Well, for the media site, very soon we're going to have the original media productions, which is going to include a lot of meditations and a lot of people meditating together, especially if it's 144,000 people. It changes things very quickly, and we'll bring the event much sooner. So we're going to have specialized meditations posted regularly.
Yes, and by the way, Ada is the head of the media group. I've actually been elected the leader of the Planetary Leadership Group, mostly due to not my social interaction skills, but mostly because I know a lot about, I know Cobra really well, and I know the event, what's taking place probably as well as better than any other layperson other than the military people involved with the ETs, I imagine. And Okolani is the leader of the event support groups. Okolani, can you talk about anything about the event support groups and how people are meeting and what you're recommending their interface on the website? Is there sign-up pages? Are they ready yet or what?
There are a couple of sign-up pages, and there are definitely ways in which you can, create this change in our world. If you go to our support group area, there's a meetup page where you can see there are local cities and people meeting near you. And if there aren't one, please, feel free to sign up and become a leader, because that's your calling. We're calling out to you and reaching out to you to become part of this movement.
Well, that's great. Is there anything else that you, I guess these changes are, do we have a date that we think that, realistically, I know things get pushed back in real time. I know that the Galactic Federation wanted to liberate us years ago, but certain things have taken place and they've had to remain behind the scenes. And I know they're cleaning up Fukushima. They're stopping nuclear wars incessantly. Anytime they've destroyed all those nuclear powers, they won't allow any nuclear weapons to be exploded. They're trying to start a war. Mm-hmm. Some nuclear accidents have been allowed to show us they warned us in the 50s to not use nuclear power. So I know that there's a lot of actions going on behind the scenes. Do you have anything else that you think is important? let's just, I want to ask you, what is the realistic date that we're going to pretty much have that new site up and transferred? I know there's a lot of technical issues. We have, 30 different translation teams working on this website, folks.
Yes.
And everyone's donating their time for free.
Yeah, we have a very, very awesome volunteer group of over 300 people on the language teams. Many of them just dedicate their time and are staying up late in order to put this out there, because we believe and know that this is going to happen. Most of the changes will be seen over the next few days. The participate forms and the groups will be up and running no later than Monday, I believe. I will have to check with our IT team to get that solidified.
Yeah. And we do have a great IT team. We have a group from Brazil, Tiago, Shenko, Eduardo, and is it Paulo?
Paulo? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're working with a web guy here in America, Ryan Marchand, and and Dane R. also has done a tremendous job in creating the website. And a lot of dedication and good things have taken place here. And we're trying to create a networking infrastructure that will include social media links that we will have, so that during the event you'll be able to keep in contact with each other. It's intended that everything remains online, and the only thing that shuts down is the banks. And watch your television sets. You're going to be amazed. They're going to bring out all the evidence of free energy, the corruption that's been taking place. There is a plan, ladies and gentlemen, and it's coming soon. I want to thank you girls for coming in, and we're going to get this down a little more, and we're going to announce this in our... We'll get a lot more people with questions here, so we can do some... we'll set up some trainings, actually, for people to do event support groups and answer questions on air. I want to thank you. Their time is almost up here, and but thank you so much, both of you, for coming in, and we're doing again. Okay, thank you. Yeah.